Well, hello, good night to you. Good night to everyone. I know we've been having some issues lately, and um, but we're not going to allow that to bother us. How y'all doing? I missed you from last week to now, but I'm happy that you are here and you were tuned in to more on advancing the cause. On this program, we usually share just what is factual, just what is factual. And so tonight, I want to extend birthday wishes to those of our friends and our viewers who would have celebrated their birthdays between last Wednesday and today. There are lots and lots of persons who are celebrating birthdays today, and I want to give them a big, big shout out and to pray that God will continue to bless them as they embark on this new chapter of their lives. And so we have quite a lot of people. I don't want to call names because I'm going to get into trouble. While we're on that, let me ask you from now to share the life. Share the life. Call up your friends. Tell them advancing the cause is on, and we're looking at the state of affairs. We're going to be talking about the state of affairs in our dear land, Guyana. So call up your friend. Tell them advancing the cause is on. And then we've had some persons who would have lost loved ones, and we want to extend to them as well our sincerest condolences. Um, it's not easy to lose a loved one. And when you do, that void there is left there because we cannot get persons to fill. Nobody can fill that empty space. But I pray that God will continue to bless you and to grant you the comfort you need. Well, you know what? We've got so many friends who are watching us. We've got friends from North America. We've got friends from Turkey. We have some friends in Switzerland. We have friends all around the Caribbean. And of course, our wonderful friends in Guyana who are watching us. So from way up on the Caribbean to way out in Region 9, I want to say good night to you. And I trust that your week has been a good one or was a good one, and you're looking forward to this week with great expectations. You know what? Um, Several things have happened since last week. We've had accidents, we've had people dying, some persons are injured, and I want to continue to urge all of us to be very mindful of how you use the roadways. Drivers, be on the lookout for the pedestrians who are going to be using the roads. Drivers, be on the lookout for yourselves as well, and other drivers who are not as careful as you are. We cannot continue to afford losing you. We want you to be here. We don't want you to be injured because when you get injured, it takes quite a while for you to be for healing, and then you're not your normal self again. So let's be careful on how we use the roads. And then we had some fights across the country. Come on, folks. We are one people. Let me remind you, we are one people, one nation, one destiny. Don't let people mix you up. Don't let people confuse you about this one Guyana thing. Our national motto is a national symbol for us. And we must continue to be proud of our national symbols. We must continue to uphold our national symbols. So we're talking here as a matter of fact. One people, one nation, one destiny. And so let's all join, and as we continue to look to our 53rd republic anniversary, let's do that by repeating our national motto, which says one people, one nation, one destiny. uh, Operator, I think comrade, one of our guests, they are trying to get in there. I don't know what the issue is, but we are going to go on in the meantime with I don't know if it's the link that they would not have received, but could you send our guest the link? This evening we're going to have joining us is MP Natasha Lewis, and she will be joining us. And we're going to talk a little bit about what's happening in the education sector. Quite a few things has been happening, and we're having some back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. But the let's have Comrade Natasha Singh Lewis join us, and we're going to deal with that. But before Comrade Natasha Singh Lewis joins us on the program here this evening, I want to share quickly with you some of the highlights for this evening. You remember we had the issue last year of the businessman from Kitty who abused his daughter. We saw the video there. She was stamped, she was cuffed, I think. She was really, really battered by her father. Well, that young man is going to know his fate on the 25th of March. He will be sentenced. He has been found guilty and he is going to be sentenced. So he's awaiting sentencing. And I'm hoping that this here, this example is going to set the trend, and it will say to other men, not only fathers, it will say to men, women are not your toy, and you should not be abusing women. Women are not to be abused. If there is a misunderstanding, then, and you can't deal with it right away, then just walk away. And when you are settled and you're not annoyed and you would have calmed down, you would return to deal with the issue. Too many of our women folk are being brutalized by their spouses, by their fathers, by brothers, by uncles. Come on, folks, we've got to do better than what we're doing. And I'm hoping that this is going to set the trend, and it would say to men, that's not the right thing to do. I'm hoping that that young lady, she's being given the kind of counseling that she needs to be able to recover from that kind of trauma. And this in itself could have very long lasting effect. This kind of abuse usually have very long lasting effect on not only women, but on men and on children when they are abused like that. So let's stop the nonsense. Let's stop this. And let's do what we have to do. Let's do the right things. And then, we had the issue of a baby that was found in Myconi in a gift bag. It's sad. It's sad. But you know what? When we have mothers, teenage mothers, as a fact, well, I should tell you that the mother was located. But you know what? When we have young mothers, young girls, teenage girls whose bodies are not fully developed, and then they get themselves caught up, they get pregnant, and the distress and the trauma that they have to go through because they are not prepared for what is happening to them. And so all of that sends them into they become they lose their self-esteem. Some some get into a state of depression, and so many things happen to them. And so that baby was abandoned there in a gift bag. I'm sure, and you would know, that no mother, after going through that period of pregnancy, would want to give away their child or would want to abandon their child. But it's the state of mind, it's the state that you get into after delivery that would sometimes cause you to act irrational. And so I'm hoping that now that that mother has been located, that systems are in place to offer the necessary counseling that she would need. And in addition to the counseling, additional support that she would need to go through this phase. I pray that, her family members would understand, and friends and neighbors and everybody, they're going to understand and they're going to throw in their lots to ensure that this young lady is able to overcome this period. Oh, and yes, we had MASH on the 23rd of February in Georgetown, and in Linden on March 5th, they're going to have their MASH tramp. And I'm hoping that for those of us who are going to be heading there, and for those in Linden who are going to be part of this activity, that it's going to be an accident-free activity. For those who have to drive, I'm going to ask that if you're going to drink, then make sure you have a designated driver so that we don't have any kind of accidents on the Linden-Soesdijk Highway. So enjoy yourselves in Linden on March 5th, Lindeners, as we are, as a proud people, we remember 53 years ago where we were, and we're happy to be where we are now, even though lots and lots of things aren't happening the way they ought to happen. You know, we have bad governance, incompetent people who are sitting in the seat of government. But in spite of that, we are going to have a good time at the Mashramani celebrations. And then we have the Jefford Classic Mile that is set for March 12th at the National Park tarmac. You know, the National Park circuit, sorry. I'm hoping that quite a lot of us will go out there to support this venture. It has been a while now since this very, very outstanding young man would have been pulling off this event. And it showcases the talent that we have in Guyana. It showcases our young people. And I'm hoping that we'll have sponsors who can go out there and offer the kind of assistance that our athletes need when they go out on these ventures, and the assistance to help them, as a matter of fact, to be able to better themselves, better their timing, you know, provide running gear and these kinds of things for them. So go out there and support Jeffords as he hosts another activity in the national park. And then we see veteran trade unionist Comrade Lincoln Lewis taking a notch there and calling out Sam Hines, our ambassador to the US, and the VP Jagdio. He's calling them out and he's saying to them that they have no moral authority to speak about discrimination or to lecture anyone about honesty and good governance. Well, you know, if you go to Village Voice, you're going to see that article there and you'll understand what the veteran trade unionist is saying. You know, many times we have these folks come to lecture to us about morality. VP Jagdio living on a whole estate when the normal Guyanese can't even have a quarter of a plot of land or a house lot. He got a whole estate. And you know, these people forgetting that when VP Jagdio got that, the monies he paid for that estate that he's sitting on, where he has his mansion, it was way below the value. So how you can talk to people about honesty when you yourself is being dishonest? How can you lecture people about honesty and good governance when you, as head of state, decided that you want to give yourself this whole big plot of land, this whole estate? And if somebody else gets two house lots, you want to make a big noise about it, but you're not talking about what you would have gotten there. And so many of them within the PPP who have house lots upon house lots, big plots of lands, and the ordinary Guyanese can't get one house lot. And you want to talk to people about good governance. Who are you to talk about good governance when under your watch thousands of young men were killed? Thousands of young men were killed. Many of them can't be accounted for up to now because their bodies were not found. Who are you to talk about good governance and morality and honesty when you yourself, under you, we had a phantom squad that did all kinds of things to people, terrorized people through this country? Who are you to talk about morality and good governance when under your stewardship as president, this country, Guyana, was in turmoil? When we talk about the narco trafficking, it was there all the time. When we talk about discrimination, it was there under your stewardship, and you couldn't do anything about it. Now you want to lecture persons. You can't lecture anybody on anything. When you talk about discrimination, it happened under your watch. So don't try to lecture anybody on anything like that. And yes, the state of affairs in Guyana, it's a sad one at this time. Who are you to talk about morality and honesty and good governance? Huh? When you couldn't do that yourself. The PPP is here again. And the poverty line in Guyana is rising every day. Poverty is high in Guyana. Hmm? Who are you to talk about morality and good governance when public servants can't receive a livable wage? When you give them a meager increase of 7 and 8%, when inflation rate is way above that? Who are you? And so don't come here to lecture anybody. Sam Hines, we understand your position that you are being given scripts to read, but we understand the game. We are not going to be fooled by you. As I speak to you, I recognize that my one of my guests is on, and we're going to say good night to you. Welcome to another episode of Advancing the Cause, and we are going to discuss the state of affairs in Guyana. I don't know what is happening. Something is happening. We're not seeing you clearly. Good. So we have MP Natasha Lewis. This young lady is always on the go. She's always there fighting for the cause of the ordinary Guyanese people. And you know what? I can tell you, folks, she is not in her home. She's not comfortable in her home. You know where she is? She's on the road. And her intention, by all means, is to be on this program to let's talk about the state of affairs in our dear land, Guyana. And so, Natasha, again, welcome to Advancing the Cause. And we're going to look straight at what is happening in the education sector. I know lots and lots of times we have seen things happening, and sometimes, you wonder whether these things are actually happening in Guyana. And like for those of us who don't know, Honorable Natasha Lewis is the Shadow Minister for Education. She's shadowing education. And so, Natasha, how are you doing?
Good night to you, Miss McDonald, and good night to your viewers. My humble apologies for the background. I am actually in my vehicle. I was in my constituency today, and I had some other things, some other appointments. I was really trying to get to studio so that we can have a full 1 hour program, but I recognize that time will not permit. So please
Mhm.
forgive me for that, but I could not let this program go by and not join you this afternoon.
Well, thank you
Um,
so much.
I know that you would not want us to have this program and me not being here. And so I made that effort to be here with you and your viewers this afternoon.
So, Natasha, I know that about 2 weeks ago, we had an issue on the west coast of Berbice, in specific, Woody Park Secondary School. Would you care to set our viewers what exactly was happening there?
So at Woodley Park Secondary School a few days ago, um, something very strange, I would say that something very strange happened. Because if you, and I say strange because it's not normal behavior. If you
Mhm.
study how people interact in society, what happened on that Thursday afternoon? And the incident I'm speaking about is the incident I would have written about. I've issued a formal statement on the matter, whereby residents in the community of Woodley Park,
Mhm.
some residents attacked the students of Woodley Park Secondary while going home on Thursday afternoon. That is not an ordinary situation. And might I hasten to point out that the students who were attacked were of Afro Guyanese descent. They were told on no uncertain terms that they are black and do not and should not be in that community because that's an Indo Guyanese community. Now, you and I would know the way the education system is set up. Students are placed in a community, in a school closest to home. So the Constitution allows us to freely intermix. The education system does not place us based on our ethnicity or our gender or our religion. It places the children closest to home. How so suddenly is the question that the residents, some residents of Woodley Park will come out to attack these students. They have been going to that school for 3 and 4 years now. Why so suddenly? And as if, nothing is serious in that community, they went the very next day, the Friday, they went into the compound, and that's the video that you're seeing right now. They went into the compound of the school to
Wow.
attack the students in the presence of parents and teachers.
Mm,
And
mm, mm.
I have to say this. After the statement was made, um, I think Village Voice carried the statement, and a few other media houses carried the statement. 2 days after, I believe, the Minister of Education would have um, she would have made a post, and that's what it is, right? She would have made a Facebook post to say that a thorough investigation will be done by the police and by the education department. We are still awaiting the results of those investigations. I can tell you that I have no faith in a report being released from that investigation. I'll say this much, that to date, nobody has been charged for assaulting the students on Thursday or Friday in the school compound. I have made a call for the Rights of the Child Commission to investigate this matter. I've not heard anything from them. I've made a call for the Ethnic Relations Commission to investigate this matter as the body that is assigned to investigate matters of disunity, racial nature. I've not heard anything from the ERC. And the
Wow.
ERC, you and I will know, we sit in the National Assembly just a few weeks ago where they were given a new life to continue
Mhm,
functioning.
mhm.
I've not heard anything from them. And I'm not sure that um, the government is going to issue whatever report comes out of that matter.
So you were saying, Natasha, that our children have now been drafted into all kinds of racial. I don't even know enough words to describe it. You're saying that Indo-Guyanese adults attacked Afro-Guyanese students at their school.
Yes.
Now, I know that a school is like an embassy, is like an embassy. The grounds there are sacred grounds, and you're not supposed to be there unless you were requested to be there. And
Yeah.
if you were to commit any act there, any illegal act, any act that is unusual, then actions are supposed to be taken. The police
Absolutely.
is supposed to take action. The Department of Education is supposed to take action. And you were saying to us that nothing has happened until now.
Not until
Um,
now.
but
Safe and that the minister says that an investigation would be done. But
but
we have
I
seen so many statements in the last year when situations like this come up, and we only hear about the statements, we only hear of a request for an investigation, and there is no finding. There's nothing else that comes out of the matter.
So it many questions are going through my mind. But I noticed just now our operator putting up a statement from the Minister of Education where
Yeah.
she is saying that the attack there, the incident is not racist. But I don't know how the minister arrived at that, because if statements were made to the students, they're telling them that this is East Indian or Kuli ground, and black people ain't supposed to be there. How can you now arrive at a position to say that the incident was not racist? It means, therefore, if I'm to understand what the parents are saying, or whether they were young men or whoever they were, are they saying that in East Indian communities, only East Indian students and teachers must be in those communities, and in Afro Guyanese or Black communities, only Afro Guyanese and Afro Guyanese teachers and students and pupils and learners must be in those communities at those schools? Is that what we're getting here? Because this is very frightening.
I think what we are seeing here is the absence of social cohesion and the presence of one Guyana. So
Okay.
you have a slogan that you poster in every village, on every public building, that says one Guyana, but it doesn't teach people what one Guyana is, because really one Guyana is a farce. It's not a concept. It's not a policy. It doesn't go deeper into our communities and pull people together and say to them that, listen, we are one people, one nation with one destiny. We are six races and we are different. And because we are different, united we are stronger. And our differences can only mean that we are stronger together. The One Guyana does not say any of that. I can tell you factually, you can investigate, anybody can investigate this. There is no training program. A whole lot of money is given in the national budget for One Guyana, but there is no training program that goes to the community to teach our people. And listen, our history tells us that there has been racial tension many, many years. And that racial tension sometimes um, goes on from one generation to the other. And the only thing that is going to help us to get rid of that, to eliminate racial tension, is to teach our people that we have to live together. We have to put policies in place deliberately to ensure that instances like that does not occur in our country. Because you know what? As I said in my statement, this is a very dangerous thing. And as I was discussing with my
Mhm,
comrade
mhm.
in Region 5, it did not just happen just like that. Those people didn't wake up one day and decide today is Thursday, we're going to wait till them children come out to school and catch them on the road. Something else is happening on the west coast of Barbados. Something else is happening. And those children, God forbid, they're going to be collateral damage.
Sorry. But Natasha, I was just coming to that. Um, when children are traumatized in this way,
Yeah.
I would guess by now that children are still afraid to go to school, or
Yeah.
when they're heading there, there are all sorts of thoughts in their minds. Some of them, especially the boys, they might want to have weapons in their bag just in case to defend
To
themselves.
protect to
And so
protect
this
themselves.
can move from one level to another. It can also bring about the fear of parents, where parents might decide, hey, I don't want I don't want any problem, so I'm removing my child from that school. So
But
right
but then
away,
but let me say to you that the parents who were interviewed before the statement was written, those are the parents who repeated what the villagers would have said, and they would have given us the exact words. Those are the same parents who said that they feel uncomfortable sending their children back to Woodley Park Secondary because it is unsafe for them. If you understand where the school is, the children come out on the public road and then they walk through the street
Yeah.
to go to school. They are left at the mercy of the villagers walking down there. No,
Mm.
no fault of
Well,
theirs.
I know where that school is located, and I understand how those students are going to feel when they have to go into school. And that's what I was saying, that some parents might opt for
To take
transfers,
transfers, yes.
which would hinder which would have an effect, a negative effect on the school's population, one, and it can also cause the grade of the school to be lowered if parents decide to take transfer and a certain amount of students are removed from that school. Secondly,
Absolutely.
it can cause parents to decide, hey, nobody not touching my child, so I'm going to go there to drop my child off. I'm going to go there to pick up my child, or I'll put systems in place for my child to be dropped off and picked up. And who knows, one of these days when you turn up there, something might happen, and then we have a whole big flare. I am hoping that the Ministry of Education, the
Yeah.
Guyana Police Force, and the Ministry of Social Protection, that they are on board in this, as well as the Ministry of Local Government, that they're all on board in this. And I'm hoping too that systems have already been put in place and those children are receiving, those students are receiving counseling. But it doesn't stop
Okay.
there. If you can come into the school to assault the students, then you can also assault the teachers. So the teachers are at risk too. And so it's a whole wheel in another wheel in another wheel we're having there. I'm just hoping that very soon this we can put this matter to rest, but we must first find out the root cause of this issue before it is being laid to rest.
There are so many things that we have that investigation would have revealed that this matter cannot go to rest unless the national leaders intervene and make some serious policy decisions. Let me say to you that that's a secondary school, and they do not have the luxury, as one parent said, it's a luxury to have a guidance and counseling um, officer attached to the school.
Oh
That
wow.
school does not have the luxury of a security guard. No. So the teachers are more at risk.
Hold on, Natasha. Last budget,
Yes.
$94.4 billion was allocated to the Ministry of Education. And this is what is being spoken of repeatedly, where
Mm,
teachers are left at the mercies of the environment. Many schools, they don't have security guards. And one has to wonder, where are these monies going? Are they going into apartment buildings? Are they going into buildings that will offer teleperformance or something like that? Where are these monies going? This is
mm.
taxpayers' monies, and we must find out where these monies are going. $94.4 billion, and the schooling got security. I wonder where
But
is Auntie Priya on this?
but you remember the Minister of Local Government, while defending the estimate, says those increases in security is to ensure that every school has a security. And on this particular occasion, on the Thursday afternoon, there was no security. There's
Maybe.
actually a security at the primary school. There's no security at the secondary school. The matter was reported to the police. The commander, I was told it was reported to me, promised to send police to patrol. Lo and behold, no patrol. But the very next day, the villagers end up in the school compound.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Viewers, this is what is happening in our schools in Guyana. This is what is happening in a school in Guyana. This is the second event uh, within a short period where parents have barged into school. We had the QC issue not not too long. And you see, when we are not consistent with making statements or holding out on principles, then these things will happen. Because I'm sure if the parent at Queen's College was taught a lesson, then we would not have had this, because other parents would have understood. We can't go into schools to assault students. We can't go into schools to misbehave. We can't go into schools and make ourselves fools. As adults, we have to behave responsible. Now,
Yeah.
if this same trend were to filter into other areas, and Afro Guyanese parents, I mean,
Yeah.
this is very disgusting. And the fact that we are drafting our children into it says volumes. And
Yeah.
I would have expected to hear from the Minister of Education, or to see coming from the Minister of Education, a statement condemning these acts, condemning the actions of these parents. But rather, you hear, oh, a full investigation would be launched and the report will be made public. I wonder when. And then now you're issuing another statement to say that the incident was not racist. Which
Yes,
word, which
I would
word is
like to see
coming?
I would like to see the report from the investigation done to suggest that there was nothing racist about what those villagers said to those students in the presence of their parents.
Then what is causing this? Why did we have this happening there? And it's not one day, but 2 days.
Absolutely. The Thursday afternoon, it all went down on the streets of Woodley Park, and then on Friday, it happened in the compound in the presence of teachers and parents and students.
Wow. This is
Yeah,
so disgusting, and
but
it's
you see,
frightening.
if the parents of those injured children should retaliate, then they'd be called hooligans and those kinds of things.
You know,
It's as if children are not free to attend the school that they have worked for. We're no longer safe. Children are no longer safe in their communities. We're heading down a really bad road.
I know. And that's
We're
what I'm
heading down
saying.
a bad road.
This the state of affairs in Guyana. And this here, it's very disturbing, because we have abuse of teachers. Teachers are being beaten in schools.
Yeah.
We have they're beaten, they're being abused verbally, and all these things. And you don't hear anything from the people who you ought to hear, from the Human Rights Commission, Rights of the
Yeah.
Child Commission. Now you have this here, and they you don't hear anything from the churches. They are silent. None of the religious bodies, you aren't hearing anything from condemning these kinds of acts. Are we to understand that our religious leaders, they are blind to what is happening, they are deaf to what is happening, or they are just immune to the system that we have here, where you can't talk, because if you talk,
Mhm.
you're not going to be
Yeah.
given certain kinds of concessions and certain kinds of privileges? Is that what we are doing? Giving up the rights of our people for flimsy gains? What is happening?
You know, when the people of a nation is silent on wrongdoing, it reflects badly on the morale of the society. It says to us that we were in a bad place in our history.
Mm-hmm.
When we were in government, you know, every rights organization had a say. They wrote numerous letters when things were not going right. The religious community was engaged, all of the religions, the faithists, the Rastafarians, the Hindus, the Muslims, the Christians, they were involved in the programs of social cohesion at a community and at a national level. So they understood what the government program was and how society gets to play a part. Now, there is absolutely no participation. And now I can tell you, I learned the other day that the one of the religious councils, I believe it's the Hindu council, was called upon and requested by the office of the prime minister to make a statement against Pandit Yubraj Narain when he was protesting
For
for
the
the
vendors. The vendors.
vendors.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they were
Wow.
called. They did not issue a statement of their own volition. They were called to
So,
issue a statement against the Pandit.
so it's dictatorship at its best.
Dictatorship. Dictatorship. But you know what, Coretta? Those same people, those same people in all of the organizations, they will wake up. They will understand. And that's the time when you call on them to make a right decision. You know, I have seen with the Region 4 matter where the PPP councillors stood up and said what the RU did was uncalled for and they're embarrassed. Where the police apologized for what happened. You know that public service in this country is at its lowest.
Mm-hmm. The morale,
And
yeah.
things are getting from bad to worse. And you know what? The president stand up on the platform and say, Guyana nice.
They're a nice bad.
Guyana nice bad. I mean, it's colloquial to say Guyana nice bad in my mind. But what does that mean? As society gets lawless, Guyana gets nice? Or Guyana is nice for only from his view? Because it isn't nice from other people's view.
Well,
It isn't.
Natasha, I was saying earlier that when we are not consistent with what we do. Secondly, when the shoes is on your foot,
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. You feel where it hurts. Yes.
you feel no. Well, in this case, when the shoe is on your foot, you wear it nicely. When it's
That
not on your foot, or when your foot is not in the shoe, you
mm,
make all the noise because you remember Jagdio, when he was opposition leader, he had
mhm.
all the answers for the issues and the problems that were coming up.
The
And
one man show.
now he's vice president. He ain't got the answers as far as they're concerned. Whatever they're doing, it's right.
Yeah.
We had the issue of the police service commission with Paul Slow and so on, and all these policemen, senior policemen who they wanted to be promoted, even though the article there that governs promotion stipulates if you're having a matter, a pending matter, you cannot be promoted. If you're involved in corruption and this and that and wherever, you cannot be promoted. But these were the people who they wanted to be promoted.
Yeah.
And the life of the commission was supposed to be 3 years. It was supposed to end in 2021, and they ended the life of the commission. And
Yeah.
well, I noticed the operator is showing us what transpired there in Region 4. Very
Yeah.
ugly professionals to be behaving the way they behave. But
And did you observe there were children in that
yeah,
audience?
yes.
That's when we don't care.
And
When we
so,
don't care.
but this brings back to mind the Honorable Priya Manik Chand, when she stood in Parliament to talk about the young people are watching us and young people are listening to us, I wonder if she remembered that statement and if she told that to the REO, that the young children who were there, they were watching you. You see,
Yeah.
it's very, like I'm saying, it's very convenient when they have to talk about other people. But when
They're
it's
very
about
hypocritical.
them, yes, when it's about them, they don't talk about it. And
Yeah.
this is the disgusting part of it. This is the disgusting part of it. When Priya made all the noise she made in Parliament, she didn't know then that the young people were watching and young people were listening.
Yeah.
When a former president who was a former PPP president slapped a teacher in Region 9, They did not know then that the young people were watching and the young people were listening. When
Mm-hmm.
our friend Ali stood in Buxton and called Dr. David Hines a clown, they didn't know then that the young people were watching and the young people are listening. But conveniently, they know that young people are watching. When this David G bus was damaged and students, pupils, or learners, let me say that because there were different sets of them, were injured, Priya didn't know that. But conveniently, when she stands at a podium where NCN they're going to broadcast her live and not broadcast the opposition MPs when they're doing their presentations. She knows all the nice things to say, that we have to take stock of ourselves and you got to take stock of yourself first. When Dharamlal said an opposition member wanted a dildo, she didn't know then that young people were watching and they were listening. When Kwame assaulted Tabitha, she didn't know then we heard not a word from them. When the parent in the Q with the QC issue, not a statement from Priya, but on certain occasions, she knows that young people are watching and young people are listening. I hope that our viewers who are online here, that you're getting the clear message that the PPP are only concerned about their people. They're only concerned about their one Guyana and not the masses of Guyanese. But we have to remind you and we have to live up to our national symbol and our national motto, which says one people, one nation, one destiny, and not one Guyana. If they were concerned about people, then a statement would have been issued already. The president, installed or not, should have issued a statement on that because you know what? He has a son and his son is attending school and he wouldn't like something like that to happen to his son. But that's how the PPP operate. One-sided. One-sided. When you look at what is happening in our schools, when you look at what is happening in this country, when you look at what is happening, the treatment that is being meted out to public servants, then you get the clear picture that the PPP sing, the PPPC, I discover all kind of names I just call them sometimes, that the PPPC are not interested in the welfare of our young people. But I want to say to us, we have to be smart and we have to understand that we are living in terrible times and the state of affairs in this country, I don't know how worse we can get. I don't know how much more we can go down. And mind you, this is the Dubai of the Caribbean. This is the Dubai of the Caribbean. And this is what is happening to us in this country. The poor will continue to be poor, and the rich will continue to be rich. And the gap will widen. That gap there, it will widen. And so the ordinary man would never be able to catch up with those who are in front of him because the government, they don't provide the scope for that. They only need you when it's elections time. And then they would come to tell you all the nice things. Or they come around you just before you notice how many communities they're going into now because local government elections is nearing. But viewers, take note, understand the game and play the game. When they come to your communities and they bring all sorts of things to give to you, take it, but understand what you have to do when you go to stand in that booth. Remember what they have done. And this is not only education, this is happening throughout the countries. Imagine, even our plants are not safe. Because we've seen since the PPP government took office in 2020, we have seen them weeding down palm trees. Now, what these palm trees do them? Huh? What these palm trees do them? Is it that they're scared to face reality? Or maybe the palm trees are reminding them of Lyndon Forbes, Samson Burnham, and the PNC. On the Essequibo coast, they've uprooted all of those palm trees, weed them down. Jovera Park, they did the same thing. We had palm trees that were planted along the median of the road, some roadways in this country. They pulled them out. What happened? Something just frightened them? I want to feel so, yes, viewer, I want to feel so they're scared of it. But regardless of what they do, I want them to know that the legacy of the PNC will continue to live on. A legacy that the world is proud of. A legacy that Guyanese are proud of. And that's the state of affairs in this country. When we talk about when a government moves on and another government is coming in place, we cherish what has been done because it's taxpayers' monies that would have been spent. Have you ever taken a look at what is happening at Durban Park? Do you understand what is happening there? Maybe people got eyes for that land space. After billions of dollars would have been spent to construct that venue for all kinds of events. Matrimony competition could be held there. We can have a school program being held there. So many programs could be held there. Flag raising, all sorts of things. But the PPP, they have left Durban Park unattended. And so Durban Park now is now home to people of unsound mind, homeless people, animals, and vines. That's what Durban Park has been left there too. And you notice I'm saying everything that was done by the PNC and the coalition, they are looking to remove them. They're looking to erase them from history. Any good government would want to improve on that facility because you know what? That facility there gives easy access for transportation. Easy access to getting transportation. But no, they don't see Durban Park as being a project that was good. All because it was done under the coalition. Well, you know what y'all should do? Y'all should break down the cultural center too and build one. You should break the roads from the quarantine to Parika because those roads were constructed under the PNC government. They built those roads under the stewardship of Lyndon Forbes, Samson Burnham. Pettiness doesn't rule a country. But these people want to bring us back to the days of slavery. That's what they want to do. And so if you're an Indo-Guyanese and you're a coalition supporter, they throw the gauntlet down at you. If you're an Amerindian and you're a supporter of the coalition, they do the same thing. What is happening at coffee? The state of affairs with coffee. If you walk around there, you're going to see. We used to have a fountain there. It's no longer there. That place used to be well lit. You see, that place used to be clean. You had cleaners there who used to clean. You don't have that anymore. But I guess this doesn't remind them of anything good. for them. Because coffee speaks to Afro-Guyanese or African Guyanese, or the Africans, because he represented them. When the Africans were freed, he was one of the persons behind it. This is nasty. And they want to tell people about who's incompetent and good governance when you can't even govern. When last have you been to the botanical gardens and checked to see what is happening at the Seven Ponds, the place of the heroes? The water in the ponds green. I mean, yes, we got a couple of important people who were buried there, presidents and poet and first and the governor general. Come on. Why we cannot maintain some of our historical sites? Why we can't maintain them? Because Hugh Desmond Hoyt was buried there, and because we got right next door to that the mausoleum that LFS Burnham's body was placed in. These men would have contributed to this country, to the building of our country. They would have placed us on the map, on the world map. But no, that's not important to the PPP. Only their history is important. And you talk about good governance? It's a shame that we are allowing these historical sites to be in the condition that they're in. But you know what? Rather than looking at these issues and modifying them and making them look better than they're looking, we putting up hotels all over the place. I know who going to those hotels. Well, of course, the small man can't go to some of them, or many of them. We putting up big, huge, tall buildings all over the place. Yes, development is good. But you don't throw away what you have and leave it to the dogs, as older people would say. Huh? Look all the smiles on their faces, you know? And one would want to ask, is where man get all their monies from? Where one man get all their monies from? Or maybe several of them would have joined to put that structure there. It is sad that poor people in this country, some days they can't afford a meal, but other people could afford to put up huge buildings like these, tall buildings like these. The state of affairs in Guyana. We are in a place where only we can get ourselves out. It is disgusting that after 53 years, we still can't get it right. But you know, one must understand and one must return to history and look at what was happening every time the PPP govern. What happens? Every time the PPP come on stage, we have burning of buildings. Let me remind you of the days when they used to set people to burn the cane fields, when they used to tie cats, put on the tails of cats, gasoline in bottles and wicks, and light them afire, and then they lose them and they run into the cane field. They must remember those days. A destructive group of people. Now, the state of affairs in Guyana, when are we going to allow this to change? So they've moved from education, and they're destroying the city of Georgetown because, of course, they're not giving any kind of funding to the mayor and the city council. The roads that are controlled or ought to be controlled by the city council, and where work rehabilitation works are supposed to be done, resurfacing and that kind of thing, they're all being done by local government, or they're being done by public works. All the laws they're breaking. And then Jagdeo want to talk to people, lecture people on governance and moral authority and on morals. What kind of authority they have to govern people? Huh? When you discriminating against Afro-Guyanese left, right, and center. We just got hold of contracts that were issued for Region 6 in Palmyra, where 10 contracts were awarded. All 10 were given to Indo-Guyanese. Now, we don't have anything with Indo-Guyanese getting contracts, but come on. Are you saying to me that there was no Afro-Guyanese who could have qualified for a contract there? That's what you're saying? That's what you're saying? It's sad. It is sad what is happening in Guyana. And my viewers, it's only you who can join with us to change what is happening. When we look at what is happening in some of the ministries, many of the ministries, professionalism is being replaced by incompetence. Where a friend of a friend of a friend is being given senior positions. So it all boils down again to the 3 F's. Friend, family, friends, and the favorites. And it's a shame. It's a shame that many of the government ministers, they don't like what is happening, but they can't say anything. They can't speak. Many of their supporters don't like what they're doing, but they can't come out openly and speak. The state of affairs in Guyana. 9 young men charged for terrorism. And when they turn up in court, the prosecutor can't provide the evidence. It's a shame. It's a shame. We're still waiting to hear who killed Orrin Boston. We're still waiting for that. We're still waiting for the capture of the real killers of the Henry Boys and Harish Singh. We're still waiting. We're still waiting to hear who the killer or killers are for the Headley boy. We're still waiting for an outcome of the Quindon Bacchus murder. We're still waiting. And so the tears of mothers from Berbice to Essequibo are still being shed. That's the state of affairs in Guyana. We're still waiting to hear why the subvention for the Critchlow Labour College and IPADG has not been restored. As a matter of fact, IPADG, the court ruled that they must have their subvention since last year, September. It has not been released as yet. Why? Is it because IPADG is being chaired by Vincent Alexander? Is it because the Critchlow Labour College happens to be in the compound of the Guyana Trades Union Congress? My viewers, I want you to understand how these people are operating. It is in their DNA to malign certain people. It is in their DNA. As long as you don't sing the same song that they're singing, then they throw you off the bus. And they do everything to crush you. We still remember the day or the days when they brought terror to the people of Caneview, Mocha. We still hear the cries of those pigs. We still remember the crashing sound, or we still hear the crashing sound of those bottles and those cases that were crushed, broken and crushed. We still hear the crashing of those walls. We still hear the cries of so many people from that very area in Mocha who were crying because they would have lost all they worked for. The people in Linden are still crying, and that's the state of affairs in Guyana. And then these people want to walk around the place, pump their chest up, and talk about one Guyana. Where? Who are part of this one Guyana that you talk about? And then they would jump up and tell you, yes, when the APNU and the coalition tell you that you are not friends and we don't like you and we are reaching out there, and yes, you are our friends. And they like to do all these photos, these hypocrites. And they send that out using their propaganda machines to say to people outside of Guyana that Guyana nice bad. I want, when some of your dignitaries come, Mr. Ali, for you to drive them through some of the streets in some of those housing schemes, East the Penitence, West Rumvelt, Guyana nice bad, so drive them through some of those streets. West Rumvelt Front Road, South Rumvelt Gardens, North Rumvelt, drive them through some of those streets. I want, when your dignitaries come, that you take them to some of those areas that are flooded, because Guyana nice bad. You cannot continue to fool people. You'll be able to fool some people some of the time, but you can't fool the people all the time. It is disgusting. Disgusting. And we are not going to continue to allow you to do what you're doing. We are not going to allow you to do that. We are not going to allow you to do that. Now, every day is something in Guyana. Every day we have something happening in Guyana. Every day. Every day. And when it's not the police issuing wanted bulletins, it's somebody else talking about some stupidness. It's a fight down with the mayor of Georgetown. It's a fight down with the people in Linden. It's a fight down with the people on the East Coast. It's a fight down with the people on the West Coast. A fight with the people on the East Bank. Every day, that's the state of affairs in Guyana. But you know what? Guyana nice bad. Viewers, we can complain how much we want to complain. But you know what I can tell y'all? It's time to walk the walk. We must stop the talking now, and it's time to walk the walk. Let's let these people understand that Guyana belongs to all of us, and all of us must have equal rights to all the resources that we have in Guyana, to contracts that we have that are going to be issued, to positions that are made available. All of us must have rights to them, and not only one kind of people. Our foreparents, every single one of us, our foreparents made major contributions to this country and to making us what we are or who we are today. And when some of them fought, they fought with blood, sweat, and tears. Some of them used their hands to build dams, to build up lands that many, many of us are living on. So Barajagdio must tell the people that the land he is squatting on, it really doesn't belong to him. But like we say, you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool the people all the time. Long time gone, short time left. And in order for us to go on, in order for Guyana to grow, the PPP must go. And we must tell them that. And we must show them that. When they come to our communities, we must chase them or ask them the hard questions. When they come to our communities. When they come to your communities, tell them promises a comfort of fool. We didn't want you promising us. You knew that we were coming here. Bring stuff that we need. You know that you're coming to our communities. Let them come and fix our roads and then come. You know, well, don't talk about the blackout. That's another part of the state of affairs. And if we start talking about the blackout, we ain't gonna finish. David Patterson, where are you? Good night to you, sir. Indar needs some of your experience. Wanajil needs some of your experience. We're getting too many blackouts. You see them down at GWI? Oh gosh, we can't even describe the color of the water that we're receiving now. And you have to pay for it, you know. You have to pay your water bill because they're gonna cut you off. Dr. Van West Charles is where you there, boy. Good evening to you, sir. We want you to return. But folks, let me say to us, we can change the state of affairs in Guyana. We can change that. And so for those of you who don't have your ID cards, please go hurry up and get those ID cards. Call up your neighbors, call up your friends, find out from them, because local government elections is just around the corner. And we want you to go out there and vote resoundingly for the people who will look after your interest. And you know who those people are. The APNU AFC. They're the ones who will look after your interest, because you saw that happening a few years ago, where you had clean water, where you had your full quota of electricity. And if you were going to have a blackout, then you were told long in advance, and it was not for long periods. We saw the operation of the Demerara Harbor Bridge. We saw the operation of the Guyana Police Force as to against what it is now. So people continue to stay alert. We will fight this fight. We will champion this cause, and we would make Guyana a Guyana to reflect what our motto says: one people, one nation, with one destiny. Do take care of yourselves, and we'll see more of you. I'll see more of you next week when we have another episode of Advancing the Cause. Stay safe. Remember, COVID is alive and well. Don't bother with what they're telling you from Ministry of Health. COVID is alive and well. So wear your mask, sanitize as often as possible, and continue to stay away from large crowds. May God bless you, and I look forward to seeing you next week at the same time, 6:30, for more on Advancing the Cause. Bye-bye.
I'm such a fool.